answer mule and donkey questions so you can get out there, get results with your training as you gain the trust of your animal. My name is Dave and this is Steve Edwards, and every week we get together on Wednesday to answer any and every mule or donkey question that you've got. Now, Steve, I wanted to give you an opportunity here to let the folks know the special treat that we have for them today. Of course, we've done it a little bit different the last several weeks. What's the difference between the last several weeks and today's program?
You're live.
And you're live too. That's right, folks. We're live this week. We've had about 3 or 4 weeks in a row now where we've had a pre-produced show, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been really enjoyable getting to put together a program ahead of time, add some mule clinic, donkey clinic footage, and incorporate some videos and this sort of thing. Today we're actually live. Steve messaged me on Monday. He said, hey, I'm able to do the show live on Wednesday. You want to? And I said, all right, let's do it. So you are watching Steve Edwards, folks, live and in person. Go ahead, Steve. Say hello to the people.
Hey, everybody. Dave, you look like you got a whole new screen and everything here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always upgrading. I'm always looking to upgrade my screen. And you know what? We've got some upgraded questions today. We got a lot of really great questions that have come in.
Sound like your kids.
Yeah, exactly. Over the last week or so, and we're going to get to those. Speaking of my kids, so my youngest one, Stevie, he's something else, man. He was hanging out yesterday. I worked from home yesterday, and he was hanging out talking to Sandra, my wife, 16 years this year, and she goes, what are you doing? And he goes, I'm thinking something. 5 years old. Well, what he was thinking about was the key that we put on top of the door ridge, the frame of the door, the key that we put on top to open up if the door gets locked. And the reason he was thinking about that is because we keep all of the electronics, the remote control and everything in our room, and it's gotten to the point where we have to lock our room so they don't sneak the electronics. And she goes, I know what you're thinking. And he goes, say what I'm thinking. Shout it. Shout it. Shout it. And I just about lost it. Little 5 years old, say what I'm thinking and shout it. It was just that you can't predict what they're going to say. Can't predict it all. So anyways, we're going to shout some mule answers today. But before we do that, I just want to say welcome. If this is the first time you're ever hanging out with us, we are so grateful that you're here. Every week we do a program. Today it's live. In coming weeks we'll have pre-recorded programs as well, just as timing allows. There's really 3 things that we ask. The first thing is that you share where you're watching from, or your name, where you're watching from, and what the weather is like. And especially today, because we're broadcasting live. So yes, this is me in real time. This is Steve in real time. So put your name, where you're watching from, and what the weather is like. We sure would love to just say hello to you today and let you know that we see you, that you matter, and that we're grateful that you're here. The second thing that you can do is ask any and every mule and donkey question that you've got. I've got a long list of questions that I'd like to get to today. If you've got any that you want to add, we'll get to those as well. And the third thing, and Steve, folks have just been really knocking it out of the park with this one. We're almost up to 8,000 subscribers on YouTube, and I think that's going to go much more quickly. Folks, just if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, like the channel, and leave a comment. As a matter of fact, put your name, where you're watching from, and what the weather's like in the comment section. And if you're watching on Facebook, do the same thing with the comment, but then go ahead and click the share button or tag a friend or family member in the comment section. That's really all that we ask. That's what helps the social networks know that this video is one worth recommending to other folks, and it keeps new folks coming in so that we can continue to educate and grow and improve the mule and donkey community out there. So we'll just say hello to a few. Actually, no, Steve, tell us what last week was like for you, because I think the folks are going to want to know.
Oh, buddy, I should have sent you some pictures because we are preparing for the clinic of the year. Are you ready for this? The clinic of the year is going to be in Superior, Montana. A buddy of mine has a ranch up there, and I mean, it is incredible. I'll send you some pictures. And went up there, and I spent a few days going over the country, driving it. It's so big, you have, it's Montana, so you gotta drive it. We didn't have time really to saddle up that many animals to do the riding, but wait till we'll start sending pictures. We need to put together the information. But folks, put this on your calendar. Labor Day weekend. It's going to be the big part of the clinic. Now, right now we got planned we're doing about 3 days. We could do 5, but this is beautiful country. Lots of riding that can be. We're going to be at the clinic. It's going to be incredible, Dave.
That'll be awesome. Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun, and would love to see y'all there. So we'll go ahead and say hello to a few of the folks who are hanging out with us live today. Of course, we've been pre-recorded the last several weeks, so some folks are going to get a little surprised and be like, darn it, I missed out. And you know what? That's okay. Watch the replay, and we'd love to have you join us on a future one. Ashley is watching from Minnesota. Gray and threatening rain. Well, I would love to have some rain right here, but my guess is you get more than enough rain in Minnesota, so we are sending blue sky vibes your way, Ashley. Jackie is watching from Placitas. It's windy and 86 degrees here. Looking forward to today's broadcast. You and me both, Jackie. Horsey Girl is here. Julie from Kentucky. Hot highs, 80. Leroy is watching from Camden, Ohio. 80 and dry. Let's see here. Julie says, Vet told me I could start riding my 2-year-old 15 minutes at a time. Does that sound right to you, Steve?
Yes and no. If the vet said you could ride 15 minutes at a time, well, let me ask this question. Is his knees closed? Is that the reason the vet said it's okay? Because usually it's about 2 years and 6 months before their knees are closed. And when their knees are good and closed, then yes, 10, 15-minute ride would be okay. But let me ask you something. Is your groundwork right? Can you pick up all 4 feet? Can you take and lead them over top of all kinds of barriers using your come-along rope? Other thing is your surcingle work done? Are they packing the bit? Is the nose on the vertical? Are they framed up? You see, Dave, there's a lot to it other than just ride 15 minutes. You may only get an 8-second ride, and we don't like them kind of rides.
Yeah, definitely not. If you don't have your foundation right, you're doing yourself a disservice, and you're doing your animal a disservice getting in the saddle too soon. So do what you can to get the come-along rope, the rope halter, and the problem mule video. We call it the ground foundation starting kit. And you want to take a minimum of 6 months to build a foundation. Now, we just put a video on YouTube. And if you're not subscribed to the Queen Valley Mule Ranch YouTube channel, you sure are missing out. Hundreds of videos there, all free. Yes, I said an F-bomb. Don't give me the explicit lyric label because it's the good kind of F-bomb. It's free. You can go there and just watch till your heart is content or you feel like you've got the confidence you need to go out there and get something done. Steve put a video up there. Now, I titled it just a teeny bit misleading because I needed folks to come in. So I said, how to know if your mule is trained. Because once you get in there, what you're going to find out is it's not when is your mule trained, it's do you have a foundation? And if you can, turn on the forehand, turn on the hindquarters, side pass, and what's the last one? Those 3?
Well, and then back up.
And then back up. That's right. If you can do that within a 10-foot circle, what you have is not a trained mule. What you have is a foundation. So go to the YouTube channel, find that video. It's one of the most it's already been viewed like 3,000 times, and it's been up about a week. So it's one of the most recent videos. Go check it out, and that'll give you an idea of what your foundation needs to look like before you even consider getting in the saddle. Eileen is watching. Hello, everyone. Sunny and 89 degrees in Nebraska today. Billy is here from Toronto, Canada, which means we've gone international. Sunny and warm for the past 3 days. Mr. Johnson is here from Johnson Taxidermy, Norman, Oklahoma, 90 degrees. Lisa is watching from Salinas, California. Sunny, 58 degrees, she says. Jackie is watching from Tennessee. Karen is watching from Central Virginia, where it is perfect riding weather, and happy to catch you all live. Same thing here, Karen. We're glad that you're here. Leroy says, I heard you might be coming to Ohio. Is there any news on that front, Steve?
Well, nothing right now. We're putting it together. They are, the host are looking for people to say, hey, I'll be there. It is quite costly to put together a clinic, especially when it's not in, where I'm no longer doing clinics, where I just go there, do a clinic, turn around, and come back. So long story short is contact the Ohio, I think it's Ohio Mule and Donkeys.
Mules of Ohio.
Mules of Ohio. Contact them. Do we have some information for them, Dave?
It's a Facebook group. I'll see if I can find it. While we're answering the next question, I'll see if I can find it, and I'll put it in the comments section. So, yeah, contact the Mules of Ohio. Let them know. Matter of fact, any clinic or expo, the way that they find speakers is by attendees and future attendees and past attendees saying that this is who I want to have come speak. So if there's an overwhelming number of people who advocate for a particular speaker, like right here, they'll look them up and see what it takes to make it happen. So that's the best way to get Steve in your neck of the woods. I mean, you can always pay to bring him out there. I've heard that he loves a good barbecue meal. All of the flight and the hotel and everything, that's nominal. We know you'll take care of that, but you make that barbecue meal, that might just sweeten the pot there. So just call your expo organizers and they'll get them out there. Let's see here. Judy is watching from Ubly, Michigan, 77 degrees. Billy asks a question, what is your opinion of Hinnies? Pros, cons, and maybe interesting Hinnie factor story. Oh, Billy's getting a little needy there, aren't you, Billy? No, I'm just messing with you, Billy. Thank you, gentlemen. This live show did take me by surprise. You're welcome, Billy. Steve, what do you say about the Hinnie, and do you have any interesting stories?
All right, here's the deal. Wow, sorry, I got a little cough there. Tried to take down some water, but there's the only difference between a Hinnie and a mule is their parents. There ain't a nickel's worth of difference in them. I've trained both, and the only way you can tell is either the parents or a DNA sample. That's the only way. It's not that their head is smaller, horsey looking. I've heard it all. But until we know the parents for sure, or we do a DNA testing, that's the only way.
That's a question we get probably, 20 or 30 times a year, something related to the Hinnie. And Steve's question is always the same. No bit of difference, and the only way you can tell is you get a testing done. That's how you know. So thank you for asking that, Billy. First question that we had come in on, I think this was on Facebook. No, this was actually emailed in. This one came from Dan. He says, Steve, I have a coming 4-year-old Molly mule. I have worked her in the round pen for about 6 months on foundation training exercises I learned from your videos. Way to go, Dan. I would rate her a 7 or 8 on her foundation training due to trainer ability. That's me. I've been riding her for about 2 months, both in a round pen and recently on trail rides in easy to medium difficult terrain. The problem I'm having is she is always wanting to go her own way. She walks with her head bent and ears pointing in the way she wants to go. The longer we go, the more persistent she is about it. She has a great stop. I can ride her off my feet. Her back is okay, but coming her back is okay, but coming along. I'm not sure what to do or what I'm communicating that is wrong. Any advice?
Okay, so what she's doing with her head tipped like that, she's going through her shoulder, and she's just little by little kind of testing you. Can I do this, and can I get away with this, and eventually they'll take him, and especially if you do lateral flexions, which I know you know not to do, but all of a sudden they'll tip their nose in, run right through their shoulder, just as fast through their shoulder as they can straight ahead. So how do we fix that? We fix that by this. We have our hands in direct reining position. When she tips her nose to the right, like this, I'm going to take my left rein and I'm going to turn it like this. And that's going to put pressure on this shoulder and this side of the neck. Okay, you see that? So I'm going to take my hands, direct reining position. I'm going to turn my hand up, and I'm just going to hold it there. Notice how my other hand stayed in one place. Notice one hand is not higher than the other. Okay, they're fairly even. So she goes to tip her nose. She's basically saying, I want to go this way. I want to go to the right. And then if she doesn't get what she wants, she'll run right through that shoulder. So you got to take that shoulder away. So you take, and she's tipped her nose to the right. You're going to pick up on the rein on the left-hand side. She's tipped to the right. And as you hold it there, she eventually straightens up, and then you let go. Do it again. Same thing with if you can side pass. This is one of the parts of the side passing you would be doing with your hands. With your hands. You pick up on that shoulder. She's tipped to the right. You pick up on the left-hand rein. Just all you do is take your hand and you turn it like this. And that's going to put just enough pressure to straighten her up. As soon as she straightens, you get straight.
Awesome. Great question. Thank you for sending that in. Next question comes from Kathy. I've never heard this before, Steve. She says, do you have Britchen extensions for your beta Britchen? Britchen extensions.
Well, no. If what you're saying is the straps that go on the side, do you need them longer, or the ones across the top? It sounds like it may be the ones on the side. And if you need more, which is rare, that could mean maybe you may have those quarter straps in the wrong place. Send me a picture to my email here, steve@muleranch.com. Send me a picture of the mule from the side, top of the ears, bottom of the feet, tip of the nose, tip of the toe, the tail, and send me a picture, and that way I can see the quarter straps and see what's going on. And also, if you can also measure those quarter straps, you have to take the quarter straps off, take one off, and measure from the bend on the buckle all the way to the end, and tell me what your measurement is.
Awesome. Thanks for sending that in. Next question comes from Catherine. This was posted as a comment on one of last week's, or during last week's video. Hi, Steve and Dave. Catherine from Italy, where it's cool and damp. I have a question, please, about personal space that now Steve has defined as being an arm's length. Am I right? Is that correct? Personal space about an arm's length away?
Yes.
Okay. I realize the importance of keeping horses and mules from coming too close to you, and Steve's anecdote about the accident he had down the disused mine shaft illustrates this. But does this apply to donkeys too? I have several male donkeys that come right to me to ask for a scratch or a rub. Eric of Mountain Ridge Gear interprets this as the donkey showing he trusts you. What does Steve think? Should I allow this behavior, or should I send the donkey away from me? Thanks for your programs. Just beginning to interpret my donkey's body language.
Good for you. Okay, number one, the donkey is never to come into your space. Never. Sure, I like it that they want me to scratch on them, but they are not allowed in my space. Never, ever, ever. Okay. So when they're coming into your space, you stop them. If you've got a come along rope in your hand, wiggle the come along rope. If they are just coming in, you can kick a little dirt toward them and make them stop, and then you walk right to their shoulder. Always, always, always. Any equine, mules and donkeys especially, always approach the shoulder. The shoulder is the neutral zone. It's the safest place you can be around your equine, and then that just there's really no such thing, but it's about the safest you can be. So you approach the shoulder. At the shoulders where you do all your scratching.
Awesome. One thing that just really was clear, gave me a lot of clarity, Steve. I don't know what year this happened. I've known you now for about 15 years or so, because it was when I got married to Sandra, and so it was around then. And so we're going on 16 years then, so almost 16 years, I guess. One of the things that really made things clear for me was when you said something to the extent of the way mules and donkeys show and receive affection is different than the way you or I show and receive affection, or the way a dog or a cat would show. Well, I don't know, a cat would show affection. I'm sure there's examples out there, but the way a dog would receive and show affection. And that was just an eye-opening moment, because I want to project onto animals and to people for that matter, hey, I like it when people do this for me, so that must mean that you like it when I do this for you. I like this, so you're going to like that. And so my dog likes when I pet on him and scratch him and, talk baby talk to him and, oh, roughy, rough, that stuff. The mule must like it too, but that's not the case, is it?
Not as much. You got to remember, they look for leadership. And when they start getting into your space, then what usually happens is you step back. They come into your space again, you step back or you move. Well, what you're doing is they're saying to you, I want you to move over there. And they're doing it by stepping into your space. The downside is, Dave, they get to where they nip at you, or they can even kick at you. They can nose you with their nose. Lots of different things that can happen. So they're sure, it's nice to have them want to be scratched. And I like scratching on them, but they're never allowed to come into my space. I can always come into their space. They're never allowed to come into my space.
Great. Thank you so much. Appreciate that question, Billy. Holm is watching from Germany. Hey, thanks for taking us international. It's night over here, 22 degrees Celsius. Don't know what that is Fahrenheit, but Holm, tell me, is it comfortable? Because that's what we want to know. Are you comfortable? Is it a nice time of the year? Is it enjoyable to go outside and ride your animal? Give us a heads up, Holm. Good to have you here. So grateful to have you watching from overseas. Rory is watching from southwestern Ohio. Clear, sunny, and hot. Trace is watching from Queensland, Australia. That means we've gone international again, and says hasn't stopped raining for a week. All right, Trace, if you are the praying type, pray, and we'll pray too, to send that rain across the world, get it out here to Arizona, because we'll take it all day long. We want to see the green show up on Steve's backyard mountains. Laura's watching from Tennessee. It's close to 90 degrees, but dry ground is nice for a change. Myra is watching from Southern California. Always good to have you here, Myra. Sunny, cool, and breezy. Good weather to blame spooky behavior on. Let's see here. Rory says, contact Bill Rose, y'all. He is watching now. Bill Rose, Mules of Ohio. All right, another question here from Horsey Girl, Julie. My vet is concerned because my 2-year-old mule avoided getting twitched to get a sedation. It was probably 15 minutes for him to give up. I don't understand why they think a toddler can be in complete control, and it is just him trying to communicate he's not happy. He is not socialized to vets and farriers. When they mess with him, he is always fidgeting. Do I just need to invite more people and mess with him?
No, you don't need to have more people come invest and mess with him. That's a fallacy. You folks, this It's a tough thing to say, but here's the thing: you cannot desensitize these animals, especially when it comes down to vets. They poke and prod and they cut and this sort of thing, and that's understandable. And I mean, not every. Do you like going to the doctor? No, you don't. So you got to expect that. Desensitizing, folks, is a word where people go to when they can't fix the problem. Okay. So will you have a tough day? Yeah. I don't care if it's a 2-year-old or a 22-year-old. There are some days things don't go just right, and therefore it's called an animal, and we have to deal with it, especially when you, the predator, are messing with them, the prey. So, the key thing with a twitch is, if watching my videos, that one called Doctoring a Mule, and see how I do it. They love to have their, when you train from the nose. So I always rub on the nose, rub on the eye, and then I hold on to the nose first, and I hold it, and then I let go of it, and I create that natural endorphins where I open and close my hand. Don't just put a twitch on there and tighten it down. Open and close on the twitch. That's what creates the natural endorphins, open and close. So what I do is I open and close, and then I hold it solid. And when she relaxes, and when she kind of gets to where a little fidgety, I open and close again. That creates natural endorphins, and that's when the mule relaxes. But if you just go up and stick that twitch on there, I'm sorry, it's not going to work. You have to create the natural endorphins. Once you do have the twitch on there, open and close, nice and easy.
Awesome. Great question. Hey, we've got Faye watching from down under. Faye, if you're the praying type, join up with Trace and y'all send those storms, send that rain out here. We sure could use it out in the desert. Polly is watching from Barnesville, Minnesota, over 70 with thunderstorms a-coming. Doc is watching from Montana. Julie says, when he deals with them, he gets his...
Uh-oh.
Oh my gosh.
Can we read this in public?
I can read it in public. It's just, I try to read ahead of time, and sometimes the first time I'm seeing it is as I'm reading it out loud. Professional. Talking about the vet and the twitch, when he deals with the vets, he gets his nuts cut off. Eye doctored up, requiring sedation. Needles and blood pulling in the logs. I would not want to stand for them either.
Yeah.
Thank you, Julie. I was in my small group last night, Steve, for church. And I'll just say this. My history with church is complicated. And, for folks who have been a part of a church, there's all sorts of amazing things can happen, and then there can be a lot of hurt that happens too. And I've experienced a lot of hurt. I was a pastor in the church and experienced a lot of hurt, and I know that there are folks who are watching who that's the case too. And if that's you, I just want you to know, I'm so sorry that happened. Just know that Jesus is good, and he's committed to his church. That said, it took me about 5 years at our current church before I was really ready to get into what we call a small group, just a collection of adults. You get together, you talk about life, faith, and just what the journey is like. And so one of the questions that we had for last night was, when was the last time you really laughed, and what made you laugh? Right there, Julie. If this had happened on Tuesday evening, I would have been sharing it. That was pretty good right there. It got me.
Woo.
Got me. All right. Let's see here. Mr. Johnson says, Steve, looking at New Mule was imprinted and messed with until it was 3, then turned out to pasture for the next 7 years. Walked up to the shoulder, rubbed on her shoulder and neck. I would like to get her home where I can start messing with her. She's 2.5 hours away, so I can't mess with her as of now. Just think it's going to be a rodeo putting the come-along rope on her. What would you think about trailering her? So just the situation, how would you approach even thinking about trailering, because this mule's too far away now?
Well, let's one of the problems with us folks, is that we want to do the end. We don't want to do the work to get to the end. What's the end in this case? The end in this case is to trailer. All right, the foundation to get to the trailer. That's what's important. Dave, we got some video of me with the trailer loading thing. Did I just load that mule right away? No. I built a foundation first. I did some odds and end things first. I got the mule prepared for the come-along rope, okay, with the come-along rope and doing different things. Did he just walk right in? No, he fought me. But did I eventually get him to go in? Yes, in and out, no problem at all. But I had to build a foundation. Folks, a foundation is important, okay? Let's just say the foundation for putting a halter on. I put my right hand behind the pole, left hand on the nose, the mule drops his head. Every time he drops his head, I take my hands off, I put him back on, okay? Now, and then eventually he gets his head down, nose tip to the left. Our clinic, we did a really good, I had a really good time with this mule. I showed everybody how to do it. Drop their head, tip the nose to the left. Well, when you drop the head, that relaxes all 5 major neck muscles. Tipping the nose to the left relaxes the throat draw, the throat latch, okay? And getting the nose on the vertical, it's very, very important, okay? Now, that's foundation. So yes, you loading in the trailer is good, but let's teach the mule to lead first, okay? Build a foundation, go in and out of trees, go over stumps, do things like that before you do your loading. Lay down a piece of plywood, teach the mule to walk on the piece of plywood, walk straight. Now look, it's just as much working with your timing, important to understand. It's important that it helps your timing, because the mule may, quote, know how to load in a trailer, but sometimes your timing is not correct to get the mule to load in a trailer. So going back, loading in a trailer, yes, all the good stuff has already been done. No, they don't forget. And yes, if your timing, your communication is good, loading in trailers be easy. Take your time. Make sure it's good first.
I put a link in the comments section to Steve's video, trailer loading. And just as Steve's, this was very early on. I have a good knowledge about mules and donkeys now. And matter of fact, at our last clinic, I felt confident enough to just share some of the things that I saw with one of the participants, so as it comes to keeping the animal straight and just timing. So I feel pretty confident now, but I don't know, 8 years ago, I did not feel that level of confidence. And so we're out in Buckeye working with one of Steve's clients, and we're going out there to try to figure out how to get this animal in the trailer. And y'all, it didn't make any sense to me at all. Steve's toting this thing around, going around in circles, going up, passing by his buddies in the stall, the horses in the stalls. I was like, let's just get the trailer in the thing, Steve. Like, get the animal in the trailer. And he's got it tied up to the side of the trailer with the rope halter properly adjusted. And, we're going to just leave him set there for a little bit. I was like, come on, like, load him up. Like, you can do it. Well, what he was doing the whole time, what it made sense was he was learning, number one, just learning about the mule a little bit, seeing where the mule's at. But number two, working on teaching the mule to be straight, working on becoming the herd leader, working on letting that animal know if you don't do what I tell you to do, you're going to be uncomfortable. And so all of that contributed to that moment where that animal finally picked up his foot, placed one foot in, and you can kind of see it in your head when they're kind of like, they kind of like don't want to put their foot down, but they know they have to, and it's just kind of like this, and eventually they kind of get footed and to getting them going in there, and Steve just ties them up with a rope halter and says, we'll let him stay in there. We'll let him get used to it a little bit and let him settle down and take pressure off his nose. But it was more than half of the video doing ground foundation training, and the last little bit was going in the trailer. So it didn't make sense at the time. I get it now. It makes a lot of sense. And in that video I shared a link to, you can see exactly what I saw, and you can go through the same process that Steve went through so you can get a similar end result. And this is a good time in the broadcast to just say hello to everybody who's watching. My name is Dave. This is Steve Edwards. Every week we get together to talk about mules and donkeys. The last several weeks it's been pre-recorded. Today it's live. So if you're watching live right now, we are live with you. And if you're watching this later, hello from the past. That's my new favorite thing to do. We're so glad that you're here. Please let us know that you're watching. Put your name, where you're watching from, and what the weather's like in the comments section on Facebook or YouTube, which just would be great to know you, see you, recognize you, say your name, and just know that in this big world where it can be very, very lonely, like you're not alone and we're not alone. We've got a great group of folks here who support one another and love mules and donkeys. That's the first thing. Second thing, you ask any and every mule or donkey question that you got. No questions off limits. If you're having problems with Steve's tack and you're like, I don't want to, say nothing on that, say it. We want you to get results. We're not out here trying to make money. We're trying to get you results. In the process, we got to make money so we can keep showing up. But the goal here is for you to enjoy that animal. So any and every question you got, it's nothing's off limits. And then the third thing is that we ask you share the broadcast. The best way to do that on YouTube is to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and just let us know you're watching in the comment section. If you're on Facebook, go ahead and put your name in the comments section. That's great. And then share the video or tag a friend or family member. We've got, let's see here. Doc says it's a nice day, a bit balmy. Holmes says the weather is wonderful. So there we go. Out in Germany, 22 degrees Celsius means the weather is wonderful. We've got Joyce in Southwest Alberta, Canada, taking us international. 13 degrees Celsius, so a little cooler than home. Had a great ride on Pearl today. Oh, Steve, Pearl. That was one of your old mules. There you go, Pearl. Yep. Very good. How fun. Julie says, thank you, guys. Nancy is watching from South Dakota, 64, and beautiful rain coming down. Thank you, dear Lord. Let's see here. Horsey girl. Julie says, sorry, I don't always think before I type. Laughing is good for you. Yes, I think I just extended my life by 4 or 5 hours with that good laugh we had. Let's hop back over into the questions we've had come in over the last week. This one's from Chevelle. My donkeys have me perfectly trained. They do nothing. They eat all day, and I pet and give them treats. If I want to pull a cart or give a ride, they are planted like a mighty oak. They say you have to be smarter than the donkey. I'm not. Where do I start?
Well, you've already started in the right place in that you said I'm the problem, and yeah, we are definitely the problem. Where do I start? I start with my come along rope, and I start building a foundation that way. I've used my come along rope to lead mules for the first rides, the come along rope to lead mules for the first drives as well. If they're planting their feet, then that means they don't want to go forward. So are you using a whip? And I don't mean by beating them. I mean, you have to use something to make them uncomfortable so that they will want to be comfortable. They're wanting to stand in one place because they feel comfortable. So you may need to tap them on the croup. Not on the bottom of their rump, not on their hocks, top of the croup. Either on the right or left side of the croup is one another way to do it as you progress. But tapping them on the croup gives them forward motion. The next thing you have to do is make sure you let go of the lines, because what most folks have a problem with is they tap them to go forward, but they're leaning on the lines, holding on to the lines. And so you want to put your hands forward so that they will go into the line, into the bit, and tapping them on the croup. Now, put somebody on a come along rope and put them out in front and have them lead.
Great question. Next question we've got, this one comes from Sarah. Says, Sarah from Wisconsin, finally sunny here. Steve, I've heard you say on several occasions the donkey hoof is a poor foot. Can you expand on that? I have 2 young donkeys I will be training for saddle, and I want to know what to watch out for.
Okay, well, there's a multitude of things. For one thing, folks, it's important you feed quality hay. Have a quality feeding program, because I want you to look at the foot. Look at the foot and see if it's smooth, which it won't be with a donkey, or if it has a lot of rings. Well, if it has rings and it's rough, that means it hasn't had a consistent diet. So now, if I don't have a consistent diet, it's hard for the foot to be consistent. Now, when you are looking at the foot, you want the back half of the foot to be nice and wide. You do not want to see the foot be rounded and then come around in the back tighter. Okay, you want it to be a nice, in the front, round, happy foot, in the back, kind of a pointed happy foot. Now, the big problem is contraction of the heels. It's a big problem. And what that does, when the heels come around, okay, then that makes the frog small. And when you have a small frog, you don't have good blood pumping up and down the leg. And you have to remember that now. So that's just the touch on it. And here's the thing. Most donkeys' hooves are too long. And that's what makes them contract even more, because they actually bend under. All right. So a good short foot, especially during the wintertime when snow and mud balls up, cut it down to where, trim it way down to where the frog is almost touching. Okay, trim it way back. Now, you may have to, in some cases, when you're trimming one back, you may draw a little bit of blood. That's okay. The blood, that just shows you that you don't want to go no further, and it'll be fine. It'll stop up. It's not unusual to be cutting with a knife and have one bleed out. But that bleeding area will shrink up. Not a problem. Okay. So hopefully that'll help you. The biggest thing, folks, when it comes to these donkeys is don't put them out in the field. They're only going to eat the high carbohydrate things. And therein lies the problem. That's one of the biggest reasons we don't have a good foot. Now, let's go back. The biggest reason these mules have crooked legs is because when they're babies, and you folks that have your babies, you listen to me, it's important that you balance and frame up them feet and keep the feet balanced, because if you got balanced legs, you're going to have straight legs. If you don't have balanced feet, you're not going to have straight legs. So your babies, under 2 years old, it is imperative that you keep them balanced and framed up, just like your car. If you don't have the proper air in your tires and the proper alignment on your wheels, you're going to run into a problem.
Great. Let's see here. Hey, we've got our friend from the Netherlands. Yolanda is watching. Steve, have you ever experienced a Molly mule that always had her menstruation, but after some stallions came at the stable, her menstruation process shut down? Happened to my mule since December of 2020. And even when we moved out of the stable, which is February 21, she still hasn't had her period, but she is more nervous than ever before and sometimes gets even really cranky and gets passing up and down nonstop. This behavior started at the end of last November, and she is still doing this. She also has a tendon blown August last year, so couldn't do much with her, but now I start working slowly with her again. But that weird behavior is still present. Could her ovaries have something to do with it?
Yolanda, you got me here. I don't think I can answer this question. Usually when there's a stallion around or a jack, or you can even have a gelding that's acting kind of steady, they usually will, they'll usually go right into heat, whether they're ready or not, But for one to completely turn off, I don't think I've ever seen that. So I really can't help you, Yolanda.
Yolanda, let us know what you find out. We've got Candy watching from Indiana. She gave an update on the weather. It's hot.
Right.
Doc says, may the Most High Almighty Father bless you. Thank you, Doc. Appreciate that. Let's see. Billy, how were the large teams of mules of the past trained? Can you hear me, Steve? Broke up there for a second. Let's see if we can get Steve back. We'll come back to that, Billy. Doc says, gotta head out. We'll finish up with watching later. Thank you for your help and teaching. Godspeed and watch your top knot. Christine is watching. Good to have you here, Christine. Donna is watching from Floresville, Texas. Hotter than HE double hockey sticks. Christine says, prayers to Mrs. Spinolia. Very sad to lose Michael Spinolia. We met at the Steve Edwards Clinic in 2013. Hey, Cowboy Ken is here, hanging out, watching with us. Good to have you here, Cowboy Ken. Let's see here. We'll get to Billy's question in a second. Folks, if you are just tuning in, my name is Dave. Steve Edwards is usually here. He's probably restarting his internet right now. And every Wednesday we get together to talk about mules and donkeys. The last couple of weeks, we've been doing a pre-recorded program, which has been a lot of fun. So go to our YouTube channel, check out the most recent broadcasts, and let us know what you think in the comment section. As a matter of fact, we'd love to hear you comment right now. Please share your name, where you're watching from, and what the weather is like. We love seeing folks. We love meeting folks. We love getting together with folks. We love meeting new folks, and we would love to meet you. The second thing is you can go ahead and ask any and every mule question we got. We have a few more minutes here today. We'll get to them. And the third thing is we ask that you share the broadcast. So if you're on YouTube, the way you do that is by like, subscribe, and make sure you comment. That'll get the broadcast in front of other people. There's nothing else you need to do other than like, subscribe, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and then leave a comment. And if you're on Facebook, leave a comment and share with somebody else. So we've got Billy asked the question, how were the large teams of mules in the past trained?
The only thing they did was take a young mule and they put him next to an experienced mule, and then they drove. That's what they did, I did it myself years ago because that was the way I was taught. I was taught you got one experienced mule, you put one inexperienced mule next to him and go to work. That's what you do. That's what they did. And, you can have problems with any equine, folks, okay? But I think there's less problems if you build a good foundation.
Next question that we got here. This one comes in from, I believe this is Facebook. At what age should I start shoeing my mule?
Well, it's going to kind of depend on several things. For one thing, do you have to do corrective shoeing to them in order to correct a contracted heel or to get them to walk straight? That has a lot to do with it. I don't usually start riding my mules until 2 years and 6 months. And by that time, their knees are usually closed. And there's two ways of doing it. You can have a vet come out and do a sonogram on it, do an x-ray to find out. Or the other way is I actually look at the hairs on the knees. If the hairs are curly, that means the knees aren't closed yet. If the knees are smooth and straight with the hair, then they're usually closed. But that's just a general feeling. So the big thing is having folks make sure the knees are closed. So, and then as soon as I start riding riding consistently, I'm usually shoeing them. So usually by 3 years old, I'm shoeing them pretty steady.
Next question. This one comes in from Pam over on YouTube. Hi, Steve and Dave. Thank you so much. It's Pam from South Africa. I seem to miss it live, but I don't miss it on YouTube. It's about 15 degrees tonight. I'm using the come-along rope all the time, and my 10-1 donkey does well standing on loose reins, turning, etc. I'm battling asking him to back up. He also has decided not to follow me when I walk him to the top pasture for exercise. I must add that I think it's because my old man, Charlie, stays at home. It makes no difference if I ask Teller to demand. I should mention that Charlie is my horse, not my hubby. I want to put him in a cart. When the 6 months training is over, what is the next step, and can I use your double wire snaffle bit with the martingale for cart, and how long? This is all new. Thanks again. I'm learning so much every week.
Okay, so here it goes, Dave. This is back to timing again, folks. Asking, telling, demanding. Yes. But now don't ask, tell, demand with them standing still. Move them, tip their nose to the right or tip their nose to the left. And when they don't move, bump, bump, bump. Yes, I know that they've attached themselves to another equine. That happens. You are not going to change that, okay? And here's the other thing, folks. Don't put your mules and donkeys in together with one another. Have them have separate stalls, not only for the right maintenance, for the right feeding program. And when you're training, folks, when you are training, it is imperative they're in a 10 by 20 stall or a 20 by 20 stall. It makes such a difference in their mind, because if they got their buddies or they got a pasture, they don't need you. They got their buddies, they got their feed, their water. They don't need you, okay? They spend more time doing that than they do spending time with you. So put them in a small pen. You'll get a completely different mind change. And practice what I show there with the come along hitch, having the rope on their nose, go around behind their tail, and go around in circles. What that does, it just simply gives them movement of their feet, but it gives you timing with your hands. And that's the biggest problem, folks, that most riders or equine folks have, is their timing, trying to be a little bit ahead of their donkey's timing or their mule's timing. And that's the whole ticket. It's imperative that you understand that you need to perfect your communication with them, okay? Now, as far as Charlie goes, you ain't going to change that. I don't care if you put them 5 miles apart. As soon as they come close to each other, they're immediate bonded buddies. It's the way it is. You're not going to change it. But you can use the come along hitch and make it work. Now, did you use the mule rider's martingale in training? No, I don't. When I'm driving, when I'm riding, yes, because I'm only reining. I'm teaching to rein. When I'm driving, I have long lines, and that puts a lot of pressure upon that bit because you got a lot of leverage with those long lines. So that's when I prefer a double twisted wire, full cheek bit to do the job.
Awesome. Steve, I believe, let's see here. Oh, here we go. We got one more question for today. And real quick before that, we've got Tony watching from Port Angeles. David is here from East Texas. And here is the final comment from Yolanda. Would it be an idea to go to an equine clinic and do scans to find out about it? Because I'm really worried because she is pacing nonstop, even gets a UHM irritate with our horse, and she sometimes is pushing him, trying to kick back and chase him. We have separated them, but then she breaks down the fence. So it sounds like there's a lot going there. Yeah, I mean, I would imagine you can ask other folks. Steve, any other insights?
Yolanda, if I was there, I would be able to tell you. I don't think I'd even be able to tell by videos, but just watching. Now, remember, folks, these animals are herd animals, and it could very well be that she's trying to be the herd leader over that horse. When they're kicking and biting, they're usually trying to say, hey, I am the leader here, which is rare for a mule, because mules, they usually, when it comes to mules, they're usually very subservient to horses. So, Yolanda, you kind of got me on this one here. I wouldn't know what to tell you. But Dave, I think it's pretty interesting. We've had folks from Canada, from Italy, from Germany, was it?
Yeah.
Australia. Where else?
South Africa.
South Africa. That's awesome. We're able to help those folks. Dave, you know, I got more and more folks telling me, hey, Steve, I actually done it myself.
Yeah.
I took it to a trainer and they screwed them up in all kinds of ways, but I'm doing it myself. Understand, folks, a trainer is under the gun. They're trying to hurry it and get him rode, because here's the problem. Only thing you're interested in is riding. No, build a foundation of trust between you and that animal and do it yourself. Take your time. Why get in a rush? Is it really that important to drive? Is it really that important to ride? No. Enjoy your time with your donkey. Enjoy your time with the mule, and take time. You'll get it, you know. There's several people like Jackie there from New Mexico. I love it. She sent me a picture of her mule all saddled up for the first time, and guess what I saw, Dave?
What?
The come along rope. The come along rope. She used the come along rope, and she was able to saddle for the first time. And guess what else? She didn't have it tied to a hitching post. She used the come along rope to get the mule to stand still first. Then she saddled it. You hear that, folks? All right. Now, if I can't saddle it standing still, why am I getting on it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Hey, folks, thanks so much for hanging out with us. Kat, glad that you joined us here at the last second. Go back, watch the replay. Lots of good stuff today. Lots of fun. Hope you guys enjoyed this live video. For those of you who missed us, we're so bummed that we missed you, but we're so grateful that you're here watching all the way to the end here. So thank you very much. You've got a lot of different things. You know, in this economy, attention is the most sought after commodity, and we're so grateful that you shared your attention with us. It's such a high compliment. So hopefully we did nothing to waste your investment in us. Hopefully it's going to turn around and produce a really good return for you when it get out there. We'll be back next week, and hope you all have just a fantastic week. Anything else you want to say, Steve?
No. Hey, Dave, it's great to see you again. I'm glad you went on that trip with your son. I bet that was a lot of fun. Tell me about that sometime or another. But all right, folks, we'll see you all the next time.
Thank you, everyone. Take care. We'll talk to you all soon. Bye-bye now.